Have you ever posted something important, something political, personal, or real, and noticed it barely reached anyone? No likes, no shares, no comments. Meanwhile, videos of makeup routines, gym selfies, or brunch plates still rack up thousands of views. You didn't break any rules, you weren't banned, but it feels like you've been silenced anyway. That's shadowbanning. It's one of the most insidious tools of digital suppression, and most people don't even know it's happening, because the punishment isn't public, it's invisible. You're still allowed to speak, you're just not allowed to be heard. Shadowbanning is when a platform secretly limits your visibility without telling you. Your posts don't show up on people's feeds. Your content doesn't get recommended. Your followers stop seeing you, even if they signed up to. And the most dangerous part? It's hard to prove. There's no notification, no warning, no clear appeal. Just the slow realization that your voice isn't traveling anymore. And it's not just random. Shadowbanning disproportionately affects certain people and certain messages. Activists, sex workers, Palestinian voices, Black creators, disabled creators, people talking about injustice, systems, or power. TikTok users have noticed videos about protests or racism vanish from For You pages. Instagram has mistakenly suppressed posts about Palestine. Twitter has downranked hashtags tied to labour organising or police violence. The pattern is clear. If your message challenges the status quo, there's a good chance the algorithm is trained to ignore you.
I just got another message. Your video is no longer available for me to watch.
Many social media users are accusing Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok of censoring their pro-Palestinian content.
For Hebrew and Arabic content in May 2021 is that basically there is a bias on how the company is dealing with Hebrew and how the company is dealing with Arabic in terms of content moderation, in terms of the shadow banning, in terms of the incitement.
Mistaking pro-Palestinian content with content promoting terrorism is something more users are experiencing.
In the early days of the internet, people imagined social media would be the great equalizer, a place where everyone had a voice, a chance to go viral, be heard, make change. But as platforms grew into corporations, their priorities shifted. Free speech wasn't profitable. Advertiser safety became more important than user truth, and the algorithm became the gatekeeper of visibility. It's not censorship in the traditional sense. You're not being arrested, you're being deprioritized, disappeared digitally, and this tactic isn't new, it's just evolved. Governments have long understood the power of silencing without spectacle, of making dissidents vanish quietly, of using bureaucracy, red tape, and confusion instead of force. Now, tech companies are doing the same thing, with code. And here's what makes it worse. We're trained to blame ourselves. If a post flops, we assume it wasn't good enough. If no one sees it, we think the content must have failed. We don't consider that the platform might be sabotaging reach, on purpose. This self-doubt is part of the design, because if creators never know they're being suppressed, they don't fight back. They just adapt. They post safer content, avoid certain words, change their tone. In other words, they self-censor. When TikTok buries videos about police brutality, it doesn't just limit one person's voice, it slows down momentum. It fragments solidarity. It breaks the flow of mass awareness. When Instagram mutes Palestinian creators while boosting vacation photos from Tel Aviv, it shapes public perception. It turns injustice into noise. It makes entire struggles seem invisible. And when activists lose reach for speaking out, while influencers go viral for saying nothing at all, It sends a message about what content is valued. This isn't just an algorithmic issue, it's a political one. Because algorithms aren't neutral. They're trained on data, shaped by human choices and tuned for profit. And those profits often depend on keeping people comfortable, entertained, and above all, non-disruptive. That means content that challenges power is risky.
Hi guys, so I'm going to teach you guys how to get long lashes, separating their families from each other, kidnapping them, murdering them, raping them.
She's using the eyelash curling as a kind of disguise to protect her message from platform censorship.
Please spread awareness.
Still, TikTok found the post and temporarily banned it.
Is the platforms themselves. I think they can often feel kind of neutral, right? These neutral spaces where things do well or they don't, but that's not true.
And so a shadow ban is when your content isn't necessarily flagged as inappropriate, but then gets buried under other information.
Their tactics include a duet video like this. They confuse the algorithm by layering their videos with innocuous content, like a recipe.
Taylor Swift pregnant with Travis Kelce's baby revealed at the 2024 Oscars. I just want to remind you guys that there's still a genocide happening in Gaza right now.
Or using popular hashtags that have nothing to do with the message. It's known as hash baiting.
If you can, please donate. The link is in my bio.
Meta tells us there is no truth to the suggestion that we are deliberately suppressing voices.
In this system, safe content means status quo content. And the more you play along, the more you're rewarded. The less you comply, the more you disappear. Because when creators learn that certain words, images, or messages tank their reach, they adjust. Not because they believe in the system, but because survival depends on it. Especially for creators of color, queer creators, disabled creators, people who are already navigating marginalization offline. Shadowbanning doesn't just affect freedom of speech. It affects economic survival. Even worse, these platforms often deny it's happening. TikTok has faced repeated accusations of shadow banning Black users and protest content, but claims it's just moderation errors. Instagram's parent company Meta has admitted to some mistakes in content suppression, but insists it doesn't shadow ban. Twitter, now X, has changed its tune repeatedly, alternating between vague denials and quietly rolling out features like visibility filtering. This denial is part of the problem, because if you can't name the suppression, you can't resist it. And that's what makes shadow banning so effective. It exploits the gap between technical plausibility and lived experience. It uses the opacity of algorithms to make people doubt what they know is happening. And that doubt becomes silence.
Well, in less than an hour, the heads of Facebook, Twitter, and Google will testify before a Senate committee over their company's impact on the 2020 election. Some of the big issues expected to be discussed include hate speech and misinformation. Conservative politicians and outlets have long argued the platforms are biased against their point of view, citing how the algorithms are engineered.
And so when you engage with content on Facebook, that's how it decides, what you want to see in the future. And that engagement could be because you actually want to see the content, or it could be because you disagree with it. And so users don't really have a lot of choice, and there's not a lot of transparency.
In the analog world, censorship was often collective. A book was banned, a protest was shut down. Everyone could see it. But in the digital world, suppression is customized. You might see a post, your friend might not, and neither of you knows why. That's how narratives are controlled in the algorithmic age, and yet, even in the face of this, people keep pushing back. Creators document patterns. Activists build alternative platforms. Communities share workarounds, like using alternate spellings, screenshots of text, or coded language just to talk about real issues. It's like speaking in digital whispers. Resistance through workaround. Because at the end of the day, platforms can bury posts, but they can't bury outrage forever. So the next time your post disappears, or your reach collapses, or your voice feels like it's echoing into a void, remember, The silence might not be yours. It might be the system, trying to keep you quiet, because it knows how powerful your voice really is.